Hello everyone, I'm happy to see you guys. So, my name is Tanya and I'm the teacher of foreign languages and I'm also the psychologist. And today we're going to talk about your behavior during the lesson and the behavioral stamp formation, which prevents you from making progress, guys. You know, I've been teaching for a long time and I've seen a lot of things when students are very and extremely motivated. They want to study hard, but as soon as they get into the process of education, something happens that prevents them from making a step forward. They want to quit. They want to leave the courses. They want to stop studying what they really wanted to study. So what makes them behave so? Let's think about it today, and I'm going to explain you how our stamps influence the process of education, how your scenarios work during the process of studying, and how these scenarios were built, and what you can do in order to get rid of the negative scenarios which stay on the way to your success, which stand on the way to your, to finishing what you have started, to reaching your goals, and to seeing the results of your work. So let's move on. Today we're going to talk about stamp formation, allowed and forbidden. For example, when you get into the process of education, you are mostly in the group or you are working individually with your teacher or with your tutor. So the relationships that are going to be built are based on the previously formed stamps, on the previously formed scenarios. For example, in your teacher, you can see your parents sometimes, because the relationship between you are just as there were the relationship between you and your parents, because the function of your parents when you were a child was to create the environment for education where you could study. Sometimes they were strict, sometimes they were not strict, sometimes they had the educational function, sometimes they had a supportive function. That's what you can see in your teacher. And sometimes, intuitively and unconsciously, on the subconscious level, you can see the teacher as your parent. And that's why the expectations can be much higher in this relationship. If your teacher praises you, if he supports you or she supports you, if she makes you feel good during the lesson, you will grow and prosper and you will develop your skills and knowledge. If the rapport hasn't been established so well and you don't feel like support, you feel lack of support, you feel lack of interest in you feel mostly stressed during your lessons, the process of education will go into another direction, and of course in some time you will want to quit. So what happens during the formation of your relations with teachers? I will tell you. So first, your stamps were formed by your parents. When you were a small child, you were taught what you're allowed to do and what you are forbidden to do. And you bring these scenarios into the educational process. But unfortunately, these scenarios can hinder you right now. They will not mostly work for your good. And sometimes we need to change these stamps of behavior because they bother us. They disturb us during the educational process. So our parents encouraged us to do something, and they encouraged some ways of behavior. For example, when you come to class, some parents used to say that be quiet, don't stick out, like behave well all the time, don't ask questions. And you were accepted on the condition that you do what your parents say. And only then you were approved when you did or you didn't do something that your parents wanted you to be and wanted you to do. And subsequently, for approval, you started putting other people in place of the parents. So now, when you try to establish your rapport with the teacher, for example, you try to use the methods to gain his love, to gain his approval, the methods which you used with your parents, to be loved and to be supported. But sometimes, right now, it doesn't work because your parents, they helped you to form some permissions, some prohibitions and conditions under which we are allowed or we were allowed to live. And these permissions, they have been formed by saying to you what to do and how to do it. And thus, dependence on prohibitions and permissions was formed. For example, you were allowed to be quiet, you were allowed to sit and do not move during the lesson. You weren't allowed to ask questions in order not to seem stupid to the teacher. But if you don't ask the questions when you need it, if you don't establish nice rapport with your colleagues, with your teammates, like in the group, if you don't feel comfortable and you don't say about it, if you don't feel something during the lesson, if you feel anguish, if you feel guilt, if you feel shame, and if you feel even fear, and you are not allowed to say anything, so that means that it will be a hindrance on your way to the educational result. That's why right now it's high time to build a new habit how to build the rapport, how to build the relationship with the teachers, with the students, and how to make yourself comfortable in the group. Do you really feel comfortable when you study? Can you say something without being anxious, without feeling stressed out? Do you feel comfortable when you start studying and you don't get support as much as you wanted? Write about it in the comments. And I will be happy to help you overcome the permissions and prohibitions that were set, that were imposed on you in your childhood, and which you can overcome right now as an adult, because your parents were great. They gave you all the love they had. They gave you all the knowledge they had. But now, for you, it's time to live your life, to be yourself, and to not to struggle the prohibitions and permissions, but to develop your own process on how to make the educational process the most comfortable for you, the most resultive, the most efficient. So the results will be great if you feel comfortable and if you are who you are during the lesson. How to learn to be yourself during the educational process, and not to be afraid to insult the teacher, to insult the other people, to feel what you really feel, to allow yourself to be who you really are. That's what we learn during our courses, and that's what we learn during our individual meetings with me. So I will be able and I will be eager to help you during our individual sessions to overcome the barriers, the psychological barriers which stand on the way to your better future, to your success in life, in studying, in work, in sport, wherever you need it. So I will be really, really happy to help you. You can apply to my individual consultations, and you can donate for this video, because this is a special time in Ukraine. You know that Russia has started war, and unfortunately we're just overcoming this process which is happening in Ukraine, and I will be really thankful to you for your donations. Thank you very much. I will be happy to see you during my individual consultations, and see you there. Bye. I will tell you more about the permissions and prohibitions during our next videos. So stay tuned, subscribe, press the bell button in order to be informed in time when the next video appears. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful time ahead. Bye. I will be really happy to see you next time.